that. I really appreciate it. And this is a body loading sequence. Please give it a try. Let's talk for just a couple of moments about pacing. As you become more proficient and more comfortable with your coin magic, you'll notice that you'll develop a natural rhythm. It's important that you allow that natural rhythm to progress. That's going to be your pacing. If you move too quickly, it doesn't allow your spectators enough time to appreciate what's taking place. If you move too slowly, they'll lose interest. So you want to find a pace that fits your personality and your performance style while still drawing your audience in. You want to create moments of drama. If you go back and think about routines like Dean Dill's No Extras, or for instance, maybe like the Impossible production, the pace is slow enough that you can understand everything that's taking place while still being able to appreciate it. So once again, you don't want to go too fast, don't go too slow. Find what's comfortable for you and enjoy it. If you remember back to the Impossible production, if I was to do this too fast or too slow, you would either lose interest or it'd be entirely too fast for you to follow. So if I was to do this thing so quick that you can't really tell what's going on, then, it's really not benefiting you. At the same time, if I was to do the productions super slow, having you examine each coin and do it really slow, then it would lose its potency. It would lose the impact. So by pacing it 1, 2, 3, 4 with a nice rhythmic feel, it's just enough to allow you to appreciate what's going on and at the same time keeping your interest. It keeps you actively engaged. So think about that as you practice this. I really think it'll be beneficial to you in the future. Blocking. The question you might ask yourself about this is, what is blocking? There are a couple of different ways we can approach it. One is constructing your routine in such a way that if you have to pick up an item with the right hand, you have motivation for it. Proper blocking, so you don't have to reach all the way across to grab that same item. You wouldn't grab it with this hand only because this hand is free. You would grab it with this hand. So constructing the routine so that the blocking is exactly as it should be. Another way to look at this is, for instance, in Dean Dill's No Extras, you'll notice how there's complete cover. That moment where I have the 1 coin here and the 2 coins here, it's blocked properly so that when I display this coin, the hand is empty. And then as I come back to show the other 2, it's blocked in such a way that you don't see the other coin getting kicked under the hand. That's essentially it. You need to be smart when you think about your magic. Ask yourself, why am I doing this particular action or this particular sleight or doing this particular move at this particular time? So once again, if you were picking up an item to use in just a moment, why are you picking that up? Why wouldn't you pick it up with the other hand? If I do a coin transfer, if I show a coin and I place it into the other hand, I'm going to pick up the wand to cause the coin to vanish. I wouldn't pick it up with this hand, place it in, then grab the coin. Unless, of course, that's your modus operandi. So think about that and apply it smartly into your magic. Di Vernon used to say, be natural. Well, what does that mean? Because what I consider to be natural may be completely different than what you consider to be natural. As you perform magic, and once again, as you become proficient, you'll develop your own unique style, your own mannerisms, your own gestures. You have to be true to yourself. Don't imitate me. Don't imitate any other magicians that you see. You have to use this information, this knowledge to develop who you are as a performer. So if I was to hold a coin in my hand and do a false transfer, I would perform something that would look similar to it if I was really going to do it. You want to emulate those actions so that the false actions also mimic that reality. So again, make sure that everything you do fits your personality, the way you perform. Don't be a copycat. Be you. There's a term that people use quite frequently. It's called misdirection. Getting someone to look away from a secret action. Me and a few other people, including a guy named Pete McCabe, don't like using that term. I personally like using the term the redirection of attention, or the constant redirection of attention. You don't want to just bring a person's attention away from a magic moment at a specific moment. You want to constantly have their focus where you need it at all times. So for instance, if I was going to hold a coin at the fingertips, place it into the other hand, and cause it to vanish, even in that small sequence, I've directed your attention the entire time. If I'm holding the coin at the fingertips, I'm looking at the coin, which focuses your attention on the coin. When I look at the other hand to place the coin into it, that's where you're looking. And then when I look up at you, that's when I do the move. Now, a lot of people would say that when I look up to you, that's misdirection. But it's subtly keeping your focus exactly where I need it the entire time, rather than at just that one moment. So you look at the coin, they look at the coin. Then you look at the hand, they look at the hand. You look at them as you do the move. Now when the coin vanishes, when you look back at the hand, the work's done. So constantly redirect their attention throughout the entire routine, and be cognizant of that the entire time you're constructing your own routines. And you'll be much wiser in the long run. All right, so remember the body loading sequence that we just covered? The interesting thing about that routine is it will force you to step outside of your comfort zone. When you talk about stepping outside of your comfort zone in the context of magic, there's a routine that you've been playing around with for quite a while, and you've never really shown it to anyone other than a few select friends, people whose opinion you respect. But you haven't really put it into your act. You haven't shown it to many people. Doing a routine like this will force you to step outside of your comfort zone, because at that point, what else do you have left to do? You've practiced it, you've rehearsed it. The next step, of course, is performance. But it's got some hard moves in it. You're a little nervous. Getting caught can be a good thing. Always keep that in mind. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But once again, give it a try. Step outside of your comfort zone. You'll be glad you did. Earlier, we talked about stepping outside of your comfort zone. In keeping with that, I have a saying that I tell everyone. If you've ever seen me at a lecture, or if we've ever hung out, I say this all the time. The only way to get good is to get caught. What that basically means is don't be afraid of failure. That's the only way to get good, is to get caught. If a spectator sees you palming a coin, or if you make a mistake and you drop and that reveals the method, learn from it. If you're in a situation where you make a mistake that once again reveals the method, learn from it. I can just about guarantee you when you get home, what you'll be thinking about is, how can I keep that particular thing from happening again? You'll learn from it, you'll grow, and that is the path to getting good. So again, the only way to get good, really, is to get caught. A lot of people ask me, Eric, how do you become creative? What do you do to come up with some of the stuff that you've done? Here's an exercise that will guarantee a way to spark your creativity. The first thing is grab a magic book that you've never read before. Open up to the first trick, and instead of looking at any of the pictures, instead of reading any of the explanations, read the part that says effect, or what the spectator sees. This will give you an idea of what the spectator would see if they watch this magic effect for the first time. Close the book. Close your eyes and visualize what would happen if you were seeing that trick. Let's say you had a camera lens and you were looking at yourself performing this trick for someone else. What would that magic effect look like? Once you have a very clear image of what that trick would look like for your spectator, think about all of the techniques that you currently have in your repertoire and try to emulate that same sequence or that same experience with your current skill set, with that current knowledge base. If you're able to do that, that's great. If you're not able to, think of a couple of ways that you could come up with that same thing. That's where things start to get cool, because you may come up with something that's completely original. Then again, you may come up with something that someone else has already come across. It may even be the way the trick is done in the book. But only once you have a working method do you open the book, take a look at the method the author describes, and see how your routine compares to theirs. You may like what you've come up with better. You may like what the author came up with better. You may have a mix of the two that you can fuse together to come up with something brand new and original to you. That's a very interesting way to spark your creativity. So now that you have a bunch of routines that you can use in the real world, the question is, well, where can you perform them? Here's my suggestion, and here's a way to get a restaurant gig. So you go into a restaurant with a bunch of your friends or your family, and you start sharing some magic with them, and make sure that your waitress sees a few of them. If she really likes what she sees, show her a couple more. Make sure that either you or your family tips really well, and then the next time you come into the restaurant, get that same seat, or at least get that same waiter or waitress. Show her a couple of more magic tricks and ask, hey, look, what are your busy days? What's your wait at the door? After she answers those, or he answers those questions, get a couple of more of the wait staff over. Show some more magic, and then ask if the GM or the manager on duty is available. Ask them about their wait at the door, what their busy days are, and offer your services. Say, here's a really cool way that we can not only keep your patrons in the door when they can't sit down, but keep them from thinking about how long they're waiting on food while that takes place. You've come up with a way to make them happy during those 2 lulls in their visit to that establishment by doing magic at the table side and in the lobby. Now, pay is negotiable. If you've never done this before, there are 2 schools of thought. Some people say you do it for free. Other people say you do it for tips. Other people say you only take a gig if you're getting paid. I'm torn between the two because I started off by doing it for free. Other professionals in my area really didn't seem to have a problem with it, but in other areas, that could be an issue. So you might want to talk to some other magicians in your area to see the way it works in your particular neck of the woods. But that is a great way to really build your repertoire, because you'll be doing 20, 30, 40, 50 small shows, 5 to 7 minutes a night. So it gives you plenty of time to get caught, plenty of time to get good. So that's one place you can perform. Another place you can perform is at family functions, cocktail parties, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, holiday events, family reunions. Those are free places that you can perform in a guarded or safe environment. These are all your family, all of your friends. But make sure that you ask for criticisms. What did they really think about what you did? You don't want people who say, oh, you did a great job, you did an awesome job. You want the people who say, I thought I saw something in your hand. I saw a little glimmer of silver. That's the kind of stuff. Going back to the point about getting caught to get good. So that's another place. It's a nice, safe place. Now, you can perform in the street, but you're never going to get paid for it unless you put a hat down and you draw a crowd, similar to the way Gazzo and Cosmo and several other guys like Chris Capehart perform. So that's 3 different places that you can perform immediately. Take that with you and give it a shot. All right, so I really hope you've enjoyed Metal 2. What I wanted to accomplish with this DVD, once again, was to give you some routines to build upon what you learned in the first volume that you could take out into the real world. I gave you some information on how to go out, get out in front of the webcam, get out in front of the mirror, to get out into the real world and start sharing this with your public. Because again, that's the only way to get good. You have to do it in front of people. Magic is meant to be shared. I want to give shout out to Jason and Brad at Illusionist, Peter McKinnon with his production company. He's the guy responsible for making this thing look super awesome. And I want to thank the guys here at The Dig here in Austin, Texas, because this was a really fun place to hang out. So hopefully we'll see you back for the next installment. Since you purchased the DVD or the download, you're going to get a special access code, which will allow you to go onto the Illusionist website to the forum, where there'll be a special place, a special forum for Metal 2. That way you can share ideas that you have, any critiques or comments that you have about the DVDs or the routines within it. And I'll be popping in and out to give advice and listen to what you guys have to say, any feedback that you have. So you can go to forums@illusionist.com, I think it is, or you can shoot me an email at eric@ericjonesmagic.com with any questions, comments, or concerns that you have, and we'll be happy to answer those for you. There should be a link right here on the bottom of the screen which will get you directly to the Illusionist forum.